I'm going to talk about traffic in Vancouver, and this may seem like a small story, but it's actually quite significant. And about a block from our building at the Georgia Strait, the City of Vancouver removed a traffic circle at the corner of 10th Avenue and Pine Street. And 10th Avenue is a bikeway, so you can ride on a bike route all the way across the west side of the city on this 10th Avenue bikeway. What they discovered was the traffic circle, which is a concrete kind of structure in the middle of the street where you go around, so there's no stop sign, that after they put that traffic circle in 2004, they suddenly started having a lot of collisions between bicyclists and motor vehicles. And so between 2005 and 2012, ICBC has determined that there were 17 accidents between cyclists and motor vehicles. So what the City of Vancouver has done in response has been to remove the traffic circle. They've put stop signs on Pine Street so that the bike route goes straight through, because often the cyclists would come whizzing through, the cars would be coming north-south, the bicyclists would be going east-west. Every single accident occurred with that trajectory. And so this raises concerns about the safety of these traffic circles in other parts of the city along bike routes, because if there were a lot of accidents and it was a high accident area there, because you don't have to stop at a traffic circle, you just enter and go around in your car or on your bicycle, that these are very dangerous for bicyclists. And part of the problem is the visibility, because there was a garden in the middle of the traffic circle, so that also made it difficult to see what was on the other side. And so I think the City of Vancouver took a wise step removing it. Probably never should have been put in there in the first place. And for cyclists, that's good news, because it'll probably make things safer for them. But it also raises questions about traffic circles in other parts of the city. And the safety of cycling has become more important as more people are riding bikes, particularly at this time of the year. We're coming up to what's known in Vancouver as Bike to Work Week, where everyone is encouraged to ride a bicycle to work. Some people have concerns about riding bikes because they still fear for their safety. The City of Vancouver has made some changes by creating separate lanes on the Burrard Street Bridge, along Hornby Street, along Dunsmuir, to make it safer for cyclists. But still, there are some difficult intersections, and for drivers who go down Hornby, they may turn right where they're not supposed to, and a cyclist could come whizzing by. So there's still a lot of issues about cycling safety, and it becomes a greater concern at this time of year when you see more cyclists on the road. And the final story I'll talk about on WOW TV today is climate change. And Joe Oliver is Canada's Natural Resources Minister, and he's been raising concerns about the scientists saying that if the Canadian oil sands are developed fully, that this is going to accelerate climate change and cause all sorts of problems. And Joe Oliver questions that and criticizes that point of view. Well, this week, 12 scientists and economists and researchers wrote a letter to Joe Oliver telling him that this is a very serious issue. Two of the scientists and researchers were from the Vancouver area, one from UBC, one from Simon Fraser University. And they've invited him to have a briefing where they will explain the latest research about climate change and the rising amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, carbon dioxide being one of the main ones, and the impact that is having on extreme weather events and some of the problems we're seeing. It's also a big issue in China and India, because with the melting of the glaciers in the Himalaya, that could have big impact on the amount of water in the rivers that are so important to agriculture and drinking water in China and India. So climate change, it's always an issue. It was back in the news again this week. For WOW TV, I'm Charlie Smith, Jongbin Zhou, Georgia Strait, chief editor of the Georgia Strait, and I really appreciate you spending time with us today.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。